Let me ask you a question. How many homeschool planners have you tried? 2, 3, more? If you've been homeschooling for a couple of years, I'm willing to bet you've tried multiple planners. If you've been homeschooling for a while, you've probably lost count. But don't worry, you're not alone. If we haven't met, I'm Kim with Not Consume Ministries. This is my 22nd year of homeschooling. I've graduated 3 of my 4 children already, and I still haven't figured it all out. And you know what? That's completely normal. Here's why. Your family keeps changing. Your kids get older, curriculum changes, needs change, your family situation changes. As all of these things change, you have to keep adapting how your family's growing and learning. Just when you think, I've got this figured out, something new comes up. It's kind of like parenting. My goal for you today is to leave with a vision for how you can plan one time this summer for your whole entire school year, and how you can kick overwhelm to the curb in the process. I'll show you how to do that, and it's a lot easier than you think. Let's talk about why. Why once a year? Let me share a bit of my story. I actually started homeschooling in a rather unorthodox way. Before my oldest was even born, my sister called me about my nephew. He was in the 2nd grade, and the school wanted to retain him for the 2nd time. He'd already been held back in kindergarten, and now he couldn't keep up because he'd missed all of those foundational skills. He was not ready for school. And of course, the class went on without him. I had seen it happen to dozens of kids. In what I call my famous last words, I said, "Bring him to me, I'll homeschool him." Now, I had never homeschooled a day in my life, and I was literally 1 week away from having my first baby. But I knew the system was failing him just as I'd watched it happen to so many other little boys and girls. Something had to be done. To be honest, I was confident I could do this because I had just left teaching 1st grade after over 10 years in the public schools. Oh, was I wrong? People think, oh, you've got a teaching degree, homeschooling must be easy. Actually, I think having a teaching degree made it harder because I had all of these institutional ideas mixed up in my head. There I was with my little lesson plan book, the same one that I used for 35 first graders, thinking we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this, and then the baby had a blowout. Just so you know, that never happened in my 1st grade classroom. It completely threw me off because I didn't know how to deal with things like this. The reality is my perfect little plan did not account for real life at all. I'm sure you felt the same way. Maybe it's not diaper blowouts, but it's sickness, interruptions, meltdowns, unexpected guests, missing supplies, phone calls, grandparents. I love my grandparents, but they do tend to call at the most inconvenient times, don't they? Maybe it's your husband's work schedule, extracurricular activities, and those doctor appointments that can only happen at 11:25 right in the middle of your school day. So here's what I learned when I started homeschooling my nephew. And it's the same thing I want you to take away today. You've got to stop doing things by the book. Throw out the old lesson plan book. That thing does not work. All you do is erase because one thing throws it off. And if you're like me, when one thing throws it off, you think, well, we can't even do school now. We're sunk. The whole day is ransacked. Right? I like to say that filling out a lesson plan book is kind of like washing your car in the rain. It's pretty pointless. It shifts your priorities to the wrong place because you put all of your thoughts and efforts into this plan book instead of where they need to be. Plan books hold real learning captive. When a turtle shows up on your back porch and your kids want to check it out, you can't because you're supposed to be doing math right now. And even if you let them, you feel guilty inside. That is not how we want to feel. And lastly, when we micromanage everything, we don't give our kids the opportunity that they need to become responsible. We're going to create an annual plan instead. And here are the 3 things that you have to do. Number 1, lay a foundation. Imagine you're building your dream home and the builder comes to the meeting with no plan, no blueprint, nothing. He says, oh, we don't draw up blueprints. We just get in there, pour some foundation and see how it goes. Would you hire that guy? Absolutely not. Yet, how many homeschoolers say, we're just going to try this thing out and see how it goes? These are your kids. Let's be intentional about how we're going to do it, what we're going to do, and why we're going to do it. Your foundation starts with a vision. Ask yourself, why does your family homeschool? This is the most important question you can ask and put down on paper. Your foundation starts with your vision. It's a must. Ask yourself these questions. Why does your family homeschool? I think this is one of the most important questions you can ask, and you must put it down on paper. Sit down with your spouse and anyone else involved in your homeschool, like your kids, and write it down. There will be hard days, and if you don't know why you're doing this, and have a clear reason written down on paper, that yellow school bus starts looking really good. My why has changed over the years. I started homeschooling because the system was failing my nephew. But as my kids grew, my vision evolved. By the way, high school is the sweetest part of homeschooling. I got to see my kids grow and blossom and pursue things they loved. It was amazing. I've got a video about that I'll link in the comments. The next question you want to ask is, what's most important to your family? For us, conference ministry is important. We travel from February through June each year, which means our school year looks a little bit different. We usually start no later than June and hit the ground running because school is harder to manage on the road. What are your life goals for your kids? What do you want for them when they're 18? This will be different for each child. Some of my kids struggled to make friends, so helping them learn to make friends was a goal. Others had no problem making friends, but struggled to say no to friends. So learning that they don't have to please people to be liked became very important. What subjects are important to you and why? Someone once encouraged me to write down a biblical reason for every subject we teach. This is a really fun challenge. When your kids ask, "Why do I have to know this?" you'll have an answer that's better than "because I said so," or "you need it to graduate." Once you've answered the questions, it's time to make some big decisions. You'll need to review your state requirements. They are probably less restrictive than you think. You'll evaluate the previous year, what went well, what didn't. You'll consider the educational needs of each child, choose your subjects and curriculum based on all of those factors, and plan your annual calendar. Now, step number 2 is to record your tools. This is where you figure out how your curriculum fits into your system. Create a chart with columns. The first column lists your subjects, math, English, science, etc. The second column shows the length of each curriculum, how many lessons, chapters, or weeks it contains. For example, our math had 110 lessons. History had 180 lessons. English had 6 novels, and science was divided up into 36 weeks. To find this information, just open up your curriculum and count if you need to. Every curriculum is divided up somehow, either in lessons, chapters, units, or weeks. The third column is days to complete. How many days a week will you spend on each subject? For science, that was 36 weeks of content. We might do it 3 days a week. You decide this based on how much content there is and how you want to pace it. The last column is your plan. What curriculum or resource will you use to teach each subject? So I wrote teaching textbooks for math or easy grammar. By the way, the best tool is the one that makes it easy to accomplish your goals. If I invited you over to build a birdhouse and you showed up with a chainsaw, I'd be worried. Make sure you have the right tool for the job. And remember that just because a curriculum works for your best friend doesn't mean it will work for you. Your family is unique. Step 3, we're going to create a checklist. This is how the job gets done. Take all the information from your tools chart and put it at the front of your student planner. We call this the educational snapshot. It shows everything they need to complete for the year. Then create a weekly checklist with subjects down the left side and days of the week across the top. Each day, your child writes down exactly what they accomplished. Lesson 21 for math, week 7 for science, or pages 1 through 20 for their novel. The beauty of this system is that it's self-motivating. Kids feel good checking things off. It also creates accountability. If you want to make sure your kids don't learn math for 6 months, just don't bother checking it. It's amazing how many students will try to skip work if they think no one is looking. You need to check their progress regularly. Now, this system works because every day in school, you're just going to do the next thing anyway. If you miss a day or even a week, you know exactly where to pick up because the last thing you completed is written down. There's no erasing or rescheduling required. You just keep moving forward. So there's your once a year planning method. Lay a foundation, record your tools, and create a checklist. That's all you have to do. Plan one time this summer for the whole year and kick overwhelm to the curb. Now, if you're thinking, wow, I really like this, but I need a lot more guidance and information to implement it, I have something special for you. I have a completely free planning bootcamp where I go into extreme detail on everything we talked about today. During this 1-week summer bootcamp, you'll spend about an hour each day for 5 days working through these steps with my guidance. By the end of the week, you'll have your entire year planned out. Doesn't that sound great? All you'll need is a planner. You can use your own notebook or you can push the easy button and pick up one of ours. Now you can sign up for the bootcamp using the link in the description below. It's my gift to you because I truly want your homeschool to thrive. Remember, you don't have to have it all figured out to be a successful homeschooler. You just need enough structure to provide security and enough flexibility to adapt to your family's changing needs. Thanks for watching. It would mean a lot to me if you would share this video with someone you know who homeschools. And did you know that when you subscribe, it helps us reach more families just like yours? Thank you for partnering with us. I'll see you in the next video.